welcome everyone to the AstroLove podcast. I'm AngelLove.
And I'm AstroQueen.
And we welcome you in love and light. So today's discussion is on depression and kind of looking at this topic because we're moving into like the winter season now and things are getting darker, especially if you're on the Western Hemisphere. We're losing daylight hours and a lot more dark, gloomy, cold weather, so we're more indoors. And so we just wanted to look at this topic and kind of, we're not looking at it from being doctors. So, and also I want to say trigger warning to people. You may find this triggering, so just put that out there. We're not doctors, so we're not going to go into like some medical kind of things. We're more looking towards the spiritual things that you can do to help with depression. So we can discuss the topic, but for this episode we're looking more into the spiritual nature and the astrology of depression as well. So I will begin. So depressive disorder, also known as depression, is a common mental disorder. It involves a depressed mood or a loss of pleasure or interest in activities for long periods of time. Depression is different from regular mood change or feelings about everyday life, and this comes from the World Health Organization. So some key facts about depression is depression is a common mental disorder. It's globally an estimated 5% of adults suffer from depression. More women are affected by depression than men, and depression can lead to suicide. So there is effective treatment for mild, moderate, and severe depression. And so those are some of the kind of main facts. I was thinking about why is it that women are more to depression than men. And I was thinking, well, is it because women are openly talkative about it and men are not? Because I guess sometimes there's that whole thing about seen being weak. I think now men are openly discussing depression and their feelings. I've seen it a lot on like some of the podcasts where men have decided, okay, it's cool. They've got a like little brotherhood going on that is good to talk about. I've seen Tyson Fury talk about depression, how he suffered with it. The other day, Jeezy came up on my podcast on Instagram that he went through about suffering depression. So so I just thought, are men really given that platform to talk about it freely and easily without being judged or made to feel like they're weak because they've spoken about it and it's not kept quiet? Whereas women, they're more...
You've always been much more expressive
and to go seek therapy as well. And there's so many different types of depression as well. That some are moderate, some are very high, but it just seems that women have just been more vocal and about it, and I just think, this is
and more resources in place to support women, whereas with men there's never really been that much.
No, there isn't. And this month I went to something, it's called Black Men on the Couch, so it's like an open kind of therapeutic session where they speak about what's going on in their world, and I think that's new. It's progressive. It's quite a good way of men sharing openly and also encouraging other men to kind of seek therapy, not come out in public and talk, but just seek someone else, seek another man if you need to, a friend, or seek therapy where you can speak to someone about your feelings and what's going on for you. Because what this does, when things are not spoken about, not dealt with, it leads on to things where people say, you know, they're cursed.
Yeah.
Or they've got a family pattern, the women in this family are always like this or
Yeah.
that. Because the issue hasn't been dealt with.
Exactly.
The healing hasn't taken place. And now we're in Scorpio season. It's great for healing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great time to open up, talk about your feelings, share things that you've kept quiet.
Yeah.
You might think it doesn't affect you, but actually openly saying it out aloud is a good release. To actually know, okay, maybe, you know, you might shed a tear, you may cry, which is a good form of release, and to help you move on from that situation rather than keeping it low down, and it actually affecting you through unconsciously, affecting you as well. You don't see it consciously what's going on, but unconsciously you've got fears, things that may stop your growth, your
Hinder
wealth,
you.
your health, you know. So yeah, so that's one of the good things about speaking up and just finding ways of doing that. So some of the symptoms and patterns. So during a depressive mode, the person experiences depressed mood, so they can feel sad, irritable, empty, lonely. They may feel a loss of pleasure or interest in activities. A depressive episode is different from regular mood fluctuation. So sometimes you might feel like weather, or you know, the sun's gone and you feel a little sad, you feel in. That's completely different. They last most of the day, nearly every day, for at least 2 weeks. So that the moods that you're going through, what you're feeling. Other symptoms are also present, which may include poor concentration, feelings of excessive guilt or low self-worth, hopelessness about the future, you could have thoughts about dying or suicide. Your sleep may be disruptive, changes in appetite or weight, feeling very tired or low in energy. And when I look at these patterns, I think, oh my gosh, I'm sure most people go through this on a regular basis.
Right.
But it does say, you know, it's something that's continuous. Yeah, on a regular. But I guess, you know, I could say sometimes my concentration is poor. You know, you can have low self-worth, feeling hopeless. I don't have the suicidal thoughts, but, you know, disrupted sleep, yes. Changes in appetite, weight, yes. Feeling very tired or low, yes.
Yeah.
And that could be through vitamin deficiency.
Yeah.
So that's something else we have to think about. And going out in the sunlight, vitamin D, going out enough and all that kind of stuff, and eating the right foods. So depression can cause difficulties in all aspects of life, including in the community, at home, work and school. So I'll just go through the different patterns of depressive episodes. So there's a single episode, depressive order, meaning that the person's first and only episode. There's reoccurrent depressive disorder, meaning the person has a history of at least 2 depressive episodes. And there's bipolar episode disorder, meaning that depressive episodes alternate with periods of manic symptoms, which could include euphoria, irritability, increased activity or energy, and other symptoms such as increased talkativeness, racing through thoughts, increased self-esteem, decreased need for sleep, or impulsive, reckless behaviour. So I guess with depression, there's a case where people have low self-esteem, but they're saying that it could cause increased self-esteem, where someone can go out and think they can actually do something. Maybe it's hard, but they say, no, I can do this, and let's go. So
or like the way I envision it as well is overspending.
Yeah,
I think that's a classic sign of like that bipolar feeling, like they can just spend all of their money and then they get depressed because they don't have any left.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
Some of the contributing factors, and so depression results from a complex interaction of social, psychological and biological factors. People have gone through adverse life events. So some of the things that could cause depression, like unemployment, bereavement, traumatic events, are more likely to develop depression. Depression can in turn lead to more stress and dysfunction in life, and can worsen the affected person's life situation and the depression itself. So depression is closely related to and affected by physical health. Many factors that include depression, such as physical inactivity or harmful use of alcohol, are also known risk factors. Prevention programs have been shown to reduce depression. So effective community approaches to prevent depression include school-based programs to enhance a pattern of positive coping in children and adolescents. Interventions for parents of children with behavioural problems may induce parental depressive symptoms and improvement outcomes for child and adults as well. So depression is not just an adult thing, it's also in children and in schools. And I guess with children, it's a little bit more, well, where does this come from? Being a child, when they talk about some of the factors that contribute to depression, like unemployment, relationships. So there's the thing around, well, actually children are feeling the effects probably of what their parents are going through and what's going on within the household, the energy. So it's also passing on to children. Also, obviously grief, if there's a loss, like a figure like grandparent, a parent, and also having that opportunity to speak about how they feel and what the type of things that are going on in the home. So with that said, have you ever had like depressive moments in your life?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the first type of depression is that one-time depression. I think I definitely have experienced a one-time depression that lasted 8 months when I was 18 years old. And I remember, just when you mentioned it, it made me remember that period of my life, and it made me think of the astrology and where I was at the time.
1 and 8 is 9.
1 and 8 is 9, exactly. But I was 18 years old, and so I was in my seventh house perfected year. So basically, my first house and my 7th house were, well, the 7th house is about other people, but the first house has to do with me. So there was definitely some conflict going on internally and with the person at the time that was representing for me, the person to be part of my conflict, which at the time was my father. Anyways, cut a long story short, yes, I left home at 18 and I remember sleeping in the day. I think that's a classic sign of depression, and being awake at night and playing PlayStation with my partner, my boyfriend at the time, and doing that every day for 8 months. Literally, like I just had, and that's very, very unfamiliar to me because I'm usually a very enthusiastic, ambitious, well, I was when I was younger, a dreamer, always out, socialising, had things to do. Like I was coming out of college at that time as well. I was doing my A-levels. I left my A-levels early. I didn't even complete my A-levels. I had to go back later to basically redeem myself in education. But yeah, I went through such a depression when I left home. And I felt very lost. And I also didn't know what depression was, so I didn't know I needed to talk to somebody about my life. I think one day I just decided I can't live like this anymore. Like this is getting me nowhere, and I'm way too sad. And I don't know what happened. Something in the stars activated something positive, because then I went back to uni and college. Not uni, but I went back to college and I got work and stuff, and my life started to pick up. But I just remember feeling a sense of darkness and heaviness, sadness that I couldn't get away from, and my only retreat, I guess, was sleep and the PlayStation. So
yeah, you said your partner at the time, was he depressive as well? Or
I think that he was always a night owl, so I think his lifestyle really helped accommodate my depression. So even though he had his own mental health issues, I don't think they were prevalent at the time. Thankfully, he was there to take care of me. So when I needed food, he'd feed me and blah, blah, blah. But because we were both young, we both wouldn't identify that as a depressive episode in my life. It was just like, oh, this is fun. Being up at night playing Mortal Kombat, till God knows what time in the morning. or God of War was my favourite. So we
That's
both...
a teenager thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
We like to sleep.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
We just sleep.
Yeah. So, and I guess that was probably part of the reason why I didn't seek help also, because I didn't recognise it as depression, because we were teenagers. But also I think I had some wisdom. I knew something was wrong, because nothing could really satisfy me. And it was just me and my boyfriend at the time. And that was my life. So yeah, that was my depression. I don't think I've had like postnatal depression, but that thankfully lasted only a few days with my first child. The second child, I didn't really have it, although I was anticipating it, because there is mental health in my family. So I'm very familiar with schizophrenia. I'm very familiar with bipolar. I have a very close relative who had like a one-off episode, a psychotic episode, which nearly led that person to their death. So I've got, there's a history there, but thankfully, you know, touch wood, my only kiss with depression was 8 months, and I was able to pick myself up.
That's good. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think for me, I guess I know postnatal. I remember that second child just crying. Like overly crying. So like I watch a film, I cry anyway with movies, but I noticed there was an over crying with it. So I really noticed that, and I just went out in sunlight. I went out, I got up and I went out, because I think for the postnatal depression, that was something that the midwife would say, go out.
Yeah.
It's get sunlight, and that really, really helped. I did have low mood and other things that, now when I look on, I definitely had the baby blues, definitely. But I was lucky I had given birth during summer. It was a really good summer.
Amazing.
The sun was out, it was bright as anything, so the house was just shining as well. So even if I didn't go out, the house was hot, the sun was infused in the house. So I guess that helps. So that just disappeared by itself. But in terms of like every day, I think I have days where I feel like depressed or whatever, but nothing really that I can say nothing that I couldn't get myself out of or change, or I just don't think that I've had it that kind of
to point that it's actually that affecting your day-to-day life.
Nah, I mean, I've done the stuff what you talk about. You said for 8 months. Like, I love to sleep. I ain't gonna lie. To sleep and then go out with friends in the evening or something like that. Yeah. But unless we were going out, then I'll be up. Yeah, let's go out. But sleeping was, I know a lot of teenagers do that. Yeah. Like around the 18. Yeah. Like after school's done, I think we're just tired from school. Yeah, waking up every day, getting to school for 9 o'clock, studying, and then you go to college, and I guess you get a bit more freedom because you get to 18 and your parents don't have so much control over your life so much. So you just think, let me go sleep. That was like, I remember that so well. Like that's one of my favourite pastimes, just to sleep. So I'm not sure what that's about. Probably there's a change going on within
the hormones.
Yeah, with the teenagers, and we just like to do stuff like that. So what I would like to talk about now is to go and look at some of the spiritual tools that we could use. Yeah.
Should I just quickly tap into how it can be seen in the astrology, or do you want to do that after?
Well, before you do that, actually,
go on.
Can I just say I did mention it's a trigger warning. Yeah. So just in case anyone has been triggered by what we said, or it's brought back any memories, or they've got someone that they really would like to help you. So I've got a couple of helplines. So one's the Samaritans. They offer emotional support 24 hours a day, and it's full confidence. You can call 116 123, and that is free. All these information that I'm going to give out, we're going to leave in the description box so that you can access. There will be others that you can find yourself, but I'll just give you a few. So you can also text shout to 85258, and that offers free confidential support 24/7. If you're struggling to cope and need to talk, there are trained shout volunteers are available day or night. Shout can help with urgent issues such as abuse, anxiety, stress, bullying, depression or sadness, loneliness or isolation, panic attacks, self-harm, suicidal thoughts. There's also Mind. So Mind have an info line, and that is 0300 123 3393. So I'll just, in case anyone has been triggered or thinking,
and we're going to put that in the
description box, but I just wanted to put that out there before I go off on a tangent on the spiritual remedies and actually forget to put, because that's one of the most important things to also put in there, is where people can seek help if they need to. So let's go on to the
astrology first, I think.
Yeah, the astrology. So I guess depression is quite complex. So understanding the planets that work with astrology. So I guess Saturn is a major one, and Saturn is quite heavy. So if having like an aspect like Saturn Sun, so if it's square, can feel quite heavy to someone. So there's like a depression means like a pushing down. So you're feeling like pushed down, your vitality, your energy is like pushed down. So if you've got that in your natal chart and maybe you find no way out, that could lead definitely to maybe having depression.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Saturn is currently conjunct my sun, and recently I was just like, because I don't know if you've clocked the way I walk, but I'm quite fast. And I'm very active, and so lately though I've been walking so slow, like seriously, to a point where I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why am I walking? I feel heavy. Like, I feel like I'm dragging my feet. Like, and the thought of me going from one errand to the next, it sounds like a mission. Whereas before, I'd be able to, like, do all my errands quickly, swiftly, and it's fine. Now, I'm really having to think, like, something is... And then I clocked. I was like, oh, Saturn's in Pisces and he's conjunct my sun, and I'm feeling it physically, and it made me smile because I'm like, there's something wrong with me. I need to get a checkup. This isn't normal, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I'm just feeling his heaviness and he's telling me to slow down.
And he's also affecting your mutability. That's one thing. Pisces is a mutable sign. So you're able to navigate, do one thing after the other quite easily.
Yeah.
Dip in, dip out, move
That's
on.
me. Yeah.
But now Saturn's there and it's like...
Hold up.
On top of your energy. Right on top of your energy, and like to move from one to another, it's like holding you back. You're like feeling, why is it such a struggle to go here and there?
Exactly.
Which you're not feeling. But yeah, you're in a stage of... Well, actually, maybe you should need to learn what it's not like to be mutable.
Yeah.
And stay focused on one thing.
Yeah.
And not have that opportunity to just go, okay, I'm bored now. Let me go into that. I'm bored. Let me go back to that. Let me go back. So you're experiencing something different. Yeah. So it's like, I guess it's asking you, how can you navigate that? How can you use that energy now for your good? But you know, it's different. You're not used to it.
I'm not used to it.
You're not used to it, so it's hard to just come up with the answers just like that.
It's so true.
But it's a question that's out there for you.
Yeah.
To kind of explore.
Because because he's also now on my Jupiter, because I got Sun Jupiter conjunct, and usually when I travel far and wide, and I like all of that stuff. And lately I'm finding myself going, I can't be bothered to go all the way over there. I can't be bothered to go all the way over there. But I think having some awareness about what Saturn's doing in my chart will help to prevent, where possible, any signs of any potential for depression. Because if I'm starting to feel restricted, if my body feels slow, if I feel like I can't do certain things that I'm used to, then that could impact on my mood, and then that could lead, potentially to depression. So I think that's where astrology is really good for that. So even though it's not like you mentioned earlier, it's not, doctors. We this got nothing to do with medication. It's just awareness, and astrology is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, but it's good to know. So I felt like it was good for me to bring in that Saturn conjunction and how it's having an impact.
Yeah, and this is how the planets work.
Yeah.
Like from what you've just said, you know, how you're feeling heavy, you don't feel like traveling's a bit long.
Yeah.
Saturn's having an influence
Yeah.
on what you're saying. Because you can feel it.
Yeah.
If you don't know astrology, you can feel it, but you don't know. But it's Saturn's having an effect, and you're saying exactly what Saturn's doing. It's right on top of Jupiter, where, you know, long distance travel,
studying and stuff.
Then you're just feeling like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm not in the mood. And you're normally someone who likes to go far and travel, but right now, and it's keeping you where you need to be. And you know, it's saying Saturn in Pisces is about making your dreams come true. So maybe there's some work that you need to do in terms of focusing.
I'm working on it now. I'm working on it now.
Keeping you in one place, saying, no, you're not going there, you're not going over there. I want you to focus on this. And in a way, that could be one of the best things for you. If you don't know what it leads. Doing the work, what is required. Saturn, Jupiter conjunction, or Saturn, Sun, or whatever it is. You know, it's going to produce great results, because that's what Saturn does. It really, once you do the work of Saturn, it really gives. It's not just all doom and gloom. There's the work. And I guess there's some things where some people don't really like to work hard. If it's not in your chart and you like doing things a certain way,
cut
with
corners.
Saturn, Saturn comes, you can't cut no corners.
There's no corners.
It's getting on your nerves. What's going on here? So Saturn is it's often associated with restriction, discipline, and responsibility. Individuals with a prominent Saturn in their birth chart can be prone to self-criticism and a persistent feeling of inadequacy, which can contribute to depressive thoughts. So my Saturn's in Leo.
So what does that do to your ego?
I guess it's not as out there as it would be if Saturn wasn't there. So it definitely holds me back. So there may be times when I want to push forward, and I'll be like, no. And I guess there's some fear in that. In
showing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I have to plan it out.
Be structured.
Rather than just go out there and just be free and I'm doing this. No, I have to.
You can't be flamboyant.
I have to be structured in it. So I guess that how that kind of works for me with the Saturn in Leo. It's not like the best placement, but
it's not the worst
it's
either.
Not the worst. And I guess you know, it doesn't matter what placements you got. You've got to work with them.
Right. Exactly.
So what else is there? So there's the moon. And the moon represents our emotions and feelings. When it is afflicted by challenging aspects, it can lead to mood swings and emotional instability and a heightened risk of depression as well. So the moon conjunct, I guess, Saturn or square Saturn, or if they're in difficult houses or in difficult signs, could lead to you feeling like low or having things like mood swings. But it may not always lead to depression though. No. I want to put that out there. Just because you've got Saturn next to your Sun or to your Moon doesn't mean that you're definitely going to have depression, because you can learn to work with it and actually blossom. Yeah,
exactly. And it depends on so many really factors. But we're just basically highlighting the potential for what could be. But you'd have to see your whole chart too to see whether.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mercury as well. Mercury is linked to communication and our thought processes. And if Mercury is afflicted, can result in negative thought patterns. So negative thought patterns is a big thing in depression, like having low self-esteem, low self-worth, repeating constantly negative things about yourself, and then eventually believing it, because it gets embedded into your subconscious. So then you go around your daily life living out that negative thought, which can lead to procrastination. It can stop your growth, stop you from doing things. It can result in you not achieving goals or being where you need to be in life, or where you think you should be, and then feeling really low about yourself, and not having any feeling that your purpose in life can never be achieved, or you don't know what your purpose is. So it's really, really important to, I think, know your birth chart, just to see where, okay, I feel like this, where is this coming from, why is this coming from, what can I do to alleviate it. So apart from going to talking therapies as well, and going to your doctor.
There's certain things that you can do by yourself, just by being aware of what's going on in your natal chart.
And then Neptune, and Neptune is associated with illusions and escapism. A strong Neptune can influence in a chart, might lead to a tendency to avoid facing reality, which can...
It can create confusion.
It can create confusion. It can create depressive symptoms. So, not being able to face your true self. And living in a false world.
And I think with that as well, could bring about difficulties or blur personal boundaries, because Neptune, it blurs boundaries, because the whole point of Neptune is to tap into something greater than ourselves. So in order to do that, we got to eliminate all borders. So I think that one's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. Especially as it's to do with escapism and maybe not showing your true self, so showing another side of you, where sometimes you see like comedians, they're really funny, and you think, oh my god, they're so funny, and I'm thinking of what's his name, Robin Williams, and then he suffered with depression. You're like, huh?
For years, and we never knew.
I'm like, but how did you suffer from depression? Like, this don't make sense. And then he kills himself. Like, what? You were so funny, like. And it doesn't. So there's the true self and the false self showing itself, like what's going on. So sometimes I would say some of the happiest people that you see are going through some of the most difficult times. That you may not. People might think they see depression. Oh, this person looks like they don't feel it, but actually they're okay. They can sit in that. They sit in that very well. They're thinking of suicide or nothing else. And then there's someone else showing real happiness. They're going to do this, that, and then next minute you hear and you think, well, that's not real. But that's how it can also show itself. So don't get too caught up in just what the projection people, their ascendant, what they're trying to show you. There's something deeper, like the moon sign, like get into and see. Because the ascendant
is the mask that we present ourselves. Exactly. Okay.
And then we got Mars as well, and it's a planet of action and aggression. When negatively aspected, it can manifest in irritability, frustration, anger, turned inwards, potentially contributing to depression. And I think my Mars is debilitated, so it's in Libra, and I can actually see frustration sometimes in myself, like, come on, let's do this.
And that delays the process for you?
It does. But it's not a depressive thing. I just know that my Mars is debilitated and it can be quite frustrating. And I could get irritated by it as well, but I understand it. You know what I mean? So I know, okay, that's what I'm living with. How do I work with it? How do I best? And sometimes it's just like getting the opposite. Getting someone who's got a strong Mars and actually just copying what they do. Like, just see how they work and actually learning from someone else. I think sometimes it doesn't have to be that difficult. Sometimes it's not so easy. I'm not saying that everything's easy. You just watch someone else and then, no. But for me, it's like watching how other people do stuff, and that gives me the energy. And the motivation to do it. So I work off someone else's energy.
It's Libra. You need to have the other.
Exactly. So that's a way it can work. I'm not saying it works for everybody, but I'm just showing.
You found your way.
I found my way. And it could work for some people.
That's interesting. Interesting perspective. Okay, and then what else do we have?
So I think those are the main ones, and I guess it's about like the squares, the oppositions.
I can give you a couple of those as examples. Like we mentioned Saturn conjunction, but I think the main the main aspects are when we're dealing with squares and oppositions, especially oppositions, but squares and oppositions. Squares, because they've got a Martian nature to them, so they will. It could be the depression could be a little bit more aggressive, and the opposition could be. It could be projected, so other people become a part of your depression, you know. So it could be you're in a relationship that's not going very well, there's probably domestic abuse or whatnot, so another person is involved in your emotional world, and that's creating a depression because it's not a positive world that you're in. So Saturn, let's say, opposing the moon, that would be tough. Saturn's really heavy, and then we've got the opposition, which is a Saturnian aspect or energy, and then it's on the moon, opposing the moon, which is your emotional world, your emotional sense of security, your emotional stability. So I would imagine that would be quite heavy, and it would impact on like the emotional foundations. And create lots of challenges which can then create depression and so on and so forth. Then we've got, what else do I have? Mars as well. Mars, you mentioned Mars creating a square to the moon or the sun, or also an opposition that can be quite triggering. It could create situations in your life that could obviously bring on depression, such as conflict, because we're dealing with Mars. Mars is the god of war, conflict, or really uncomfortable situations that are to do with assertiveness, that maybe don't sit well with you because it's square or because of an opposition. That would then have an impact on your mental health. What else? I've got Neptune. If you've got Neptune in the 1st or the 6th house, so there could be again a tendency to have issues around personal boundaries. So Neptune in the 1st house, you might struggle with boundaries, and so you're just letting in energies that might be not for you or work against you. People might take advantage of you in some way, and the fact that it could be in a 6th house as well, which is to do with health and disease. I wonder whether drugs or alcohol or that kind of abuse could have an impact on your mental health as well. So yeah, there's lots, like Saturn square or opposing Mercury. So issues of communication and expressing yourself could be inhibited, and that can also have an impact on your internal world and create internal tension. So there's a lot of signs, but I just want to add that Selena Gomez has always been very candid about her mental health, hasn't she? And I took the liberty of looking at her natal chart, and I saw that her moon was in Aries with Mars opposed. So Mars, which rules Aries, opposes Pluto. And Pluto being the planet of transformation. What else? He intensifies he brings out whatever is in the subconscious and brings it out, and that can create anxiety and depression, which she has. Mercury is also opposing Saturn, so she may have or she may experience issues with self-expression, and she's got the sun, which is herself. It represents her vitality, squaring the moon, which is her emotional well-being. So for me, I was thinking, there must have been some issues with mum and dad, because the sun represents the father, the mum represents is represented by the moon. And then I done some research, and they got divorced very early in her life, and she was very angry at her mum, which is her moon in Aries. She was very angry at her mum for divorcing her dad, and she spent many years sitting in that anger and frustration, which made so much sense to me. But now
repetitive negative thought patterns, isn't it?
Yeah. But now they have a really good business relationship, really good mother and child relationship, and so they transmuted that energy into something that works for both of them. But it was just really interesting to read that about her, and to find the signatures that do show depression and anxiety, and we're able to do that for ourselves in our own charts as well,
exactly.
and working with them.
we're doing this podcast, why we think astrology is so important for everyone. Just to know your natal chart, just to know the basics of where the planets are in your chart and what's going on. So I just want to make clear that we're not trying to say astrology is a substitute for gaining access to your doctor or anything like that. We're just saying it's a valuable tool for self-discovery and self-awareness. So if you have any concerns about depression, please contact your medical practitioner, your doctor, whoever you need to speak to. That can
call the helpline
exactly as well. And astrology provides a unique look, a unique look through the lens, which individuals can gain insights into their personalities, tendencies, and potential challenges. So that's why we're showing like the astrological view of how that could look in depression. So we're looking at that. So some of the other things we can look at is the spiritual kind of things that you can do to help with depression. So I'm just going to pull up all my stuff that I've got. So there it goes. And so yes, so some of the things you can do, so I'll start with crystals. So you can use crystals like jet, lapis lazuli, smoky quartz, tiger's eye, mookaite, peridot, quartz, malachite. For feeling down, jasper really helps to uplift your mood. Feel good crystals include amazonite, carnelian, the quartz crystals. If you're dealing with grief, you can use something like amethyst, apache tear, angel light, smoky quartz that can support you in your grief and come to terms with the loss. When you're feeling alone or isolated, you can use crystals like jasper, mookaite, or snowflake obsidian. And for post-traumatic stress, you can use crystals like garnet, yellow fluorite, tree agate, and green fluorite. So there are more crystals, but I've just given you some that you can look at for any symptoms. Also, if you're feeling very overwhelmed, stressed out, and not sleeping very well, you can use crystals like labradorite. I really like labradorite, arizonite, quartz, hematite, herkimer diamond, fluorite, rainbow obsidian, bloodstone. So I have all these crystals, and I use them for so many different things, but that's what it could be good for. So other things you could do. So there is, according to a study by Dr. Chris Streeter, to help anxiety and depression, the study concluded that people who had depressive disorders and carried out deep breathing along with daily yoga for a 12-week period saw a massive reduction in symptoms. So deep breathing and yoga really help with depression. There's also the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and breathing out for 8 seconds.
I do that.
Yeah. So this breathing pattern aims to reduce anxiety or help people get to sleep. It is a form of prana, which is the practice of breath regulation. I saw another one. It's called armpit breathing.
Oh.
And it is so if you feel down, sit or stand and extend your arms down by your sides, palms facing backwards. When you breathe in, raise your arms with the breath so that at the end of the breath your arms are up. As you exhale, slowly lower them again and do several rounds. So that's armpit breathing. You get full how to do that if you Google armpit breathing. Also vitamins. Sometimes we're deficient in vitamins such as vitamin D, iron, B9, calcium, vitamin C, and vitamins B12 and B3. So that's something else that you need to go to your doctor to get checked out to see if you're deficient in any vitamins. Another thing that could help you with your depression is CBT. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a psychosocial intervention that aims to reduce symptoms of various mental health conditions, primarily depression and anxiety disorders. So this is a talking therapy. You can, I think on the NHS it's free, but there's a massive waiting list. But there's other organisations. If you look up free CBT, I think there's somewhere called the Awareness Centre, Phoenix. They offer free CBT interventions for people. If the NHS is taking too long, there are other places that you can go to. Also journaling. So CBT, one of the exercises CBT does suggest for depression is journal. If you're not having enough, so journaling is like writing down your thoughts, what you're feeling at a particular time. If you're not seeing a therapist, it's a great way of keeping note of your thoughts and feelings. Other things you should do is schedule enjoyable activities, meditate, practice challenging your thoughts. So if you have a negative thought, change it into a positive thought, and maybe turn it into an affirmation for yourself. So every time you think of that thought, you repeat your affirmation, a positive thought to yourself. And it also start a gratitude practice, which I've done. Have you done that?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
I need to do more of it.
More of it, yeah. But before I go to sleep or when I wake up, I say thank you for X, whatever, X, Y, Z, and it changes. So other things you can do is, so there are other things like, so there are Alfred Adler. He's a humanistic and integrative therapist, and he said that people who experience problems can work for a therapist to gain insights into their problems and behaviours. So once they've developed a deeper understanding of themselves, people can then work on learning new skills and behaviours that will help them overcome these problems. So Adlerian theory emphasises techniques that promote growth and resilience. So some techniques that are used in this type of therapy includes provided, so you can do this for yourself if you don't have a therapist as well, or someone that's close to you. So provide encouragement. So showing empathy to yourself. I think sometimes people empathize with others, but they don't show empathy to themselves. So this also involves helping people learn how to recognize their own strengths and gain confidence in their ability to succeed. So learning about your strengths, so maybe asking someone what strengths do they see in you, what are the positives they see in you, because you may not see it in yourself. So that's why I say this is a therapy, but
you can do yourself.
You can do yourself or ask a friend while you're waiting for a therapist, or use it to journal. It's also creating expectations. So therapists may ask people to consider how to act if they were already that person that they strive to be. So this allows the client to visualize success, overcome resistance to change, and establish their expectations. So this is, I guess, is visualization. What do you visualize for yourself? What are your goals? How do you see yourself? So have a mental image of yourself. Whether you cut out a picture, how you see yourself, and then put your head on it, and then write down the car, put a picture of the car, whatever it is that you want next to it, the home, or to create the emotions that you want to feel. Also examining the purpose for your behavior. So explore how you feel and why you feel it. If you can do that on your own, you may need expertise of a therapist to go deep. So if you don't feel comfortable, don't do that, but it's a way of understanding some of the things that you're going through, because it may develop from a childhood experience and something that you just forgot about. So examining also your memory, so look at past moments that could serve as a way to gain insight into past patterns, so of behaviour that might contribute to current problems, and just to know that your body holds memories too. So there's also something called somatic responses. So somatic means relating to the body. So it's like how your body responds to some of the traumas that you've experience, and the way to release that is through somatic exercises, journaling. So you can look up somatic responses, and you can gain I've seen on YouTube they've got exercises to release all the tension and negativity that's holding in your body. Also affirmations, which I've kind of touched on before, that you can use to help change your thoughts, negative thought patterns. And what else?
No, this is plenty.
I know.
My goodness.
But I just want to make sure that I've got... There's colours. I mentioned colours in the last one.
You
before.
did, yeah.
So there's a lot to do with colours and wearing certain colours, because that can brighten your mood.
True.
So there is like red is exciting and stimulating colour, and often associated passion and can be used to uplift your spirits. And pink is tranquil, inspiring, calm. Orange is intense and stimulating to make you feel invigorated. Yellow is sunny and cheerful, so it can improve your mood. And I think about yellow, and it does. You wear something yellow, or when the sun's out, you feel happier. So that's like for true. Then green is restful, soothing, and invite harmony and to diffuse anxiety. Blue will help with stress and can encourage a powerful sense of calm. Purple, in many cultures, shades of violet represent strength, wisdom, and peace. So purple can invoke a tranquil feeling that helps reduce stress. And white is symbolic of purity and freshness and can inspire mental clarity. And then there's black, which is an elegant colour that can represent power or submission, depending on circumstances. So black should be used carefully because it can encourage either or. So it can enable you to feel the power, or internalize, like taking, like feel like low.
But very good for interviews.
Yeah, it's the staple colour.
It's the staple colour. Black makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of neutral. And then we have, I've got to say the chakras, but I'm not gonna really go. The last podcast I did go into the chakras, but also I was thinking of light as well. So now we're in the darker shades. So to be able to have more light in our life, so there's light therapy. There is, but I think you need to seek a doctor for that. And there's also something else that I have. So I have Merkaba crystals, and Merkabas are healing crystals are known for activation of the light body, so merge with the physical body and awakening deep spiritual transformation. So the Merkaba assists us in our spiritual growth. It connects with our higher self and higher level of consciousness. So Merkaba is a good way to Merkaba crystals, I should say, are really good for, you can buy them amethyst and labradorite, all different ones. And also I want to talk about just quickly is frequency. So 7.83 frequency. So that helps when people are, so 7.83 is the Earth's frequency. So it's a natural healing frequency. So listening to the vibrations, the frequency of that in your mind can help alleviate stress and helps with headaches and emotional distress and other health problems. So that could help too. And I think those were the main things. Tools.
That's a lot.
Tools. And the obvious, like going out for early morning walk,
looking your dog,
doing all kinds of things like that.
Eating healthily.
Yeah, some people use psychedelics.
Yeah, true.
But you need to get advice on that.
Yeah,
that can help.
true.
But that's becoming more and more popular, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Psychedelics with depression, people are, but yeah. So.
Oh, thank you for that. Even me, I'm gonna take some of those tools and utilize it for when I'm feeling anxious. I don't suffer from depression, but I do have some anxiety.
Yeah, and colours can help.
Just putting
on something, a different colour can help you vibrate differently. And we know we all love summer.
Yeah.
We all love the summertime. It's like, yeah, let's go out, let's do that. And then winter, it's like it's like it can cause, if you're feeling low anyway, the winter time can bring it on a bit more. So yeah, there's a different ways that you can use that.
Okay, well, we've said a lot. We've mentioned some disclaimers. So yeah, we're not professionals in the healing.
Yes, and the helpline is in the
description box.
Yes.
Yeah, so please utilize that. But it's Scorpio season, so I think this is a very timely episode.
Yeah, for healing.
Yeah, for healing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, we done?
We're done.
So on that note, people, stay well, stay blessed, and see you soon. I'm AstroQueen.
And I'm AngelLove. Thank you for listening, and use some of these tools that we've shared with you today to help you, or share them with someone else. So don't forget to follow us on AstroLove Podcast and on YouTube and on Instagram. So it's AstroLove_pods and AstroLove Podcast on YouTube.
Cool. Peace.